welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. Is the Rolex market tanking? That's what we're talking about today. And I made a video a couple of weeks ago. I'll put a link in the description, and I was looking at GMT Master 2 ceramic prices here in Japan, and I noticed a downturn, right? At least some stagnation, but even a bit of a downturn. And I posed the question in that video, does this predict some future crisis? All right, maybe it did. Check that video out. But here we are, and everything is going down. Stocks, mutual funds, crypto, and the prices of certain watches out there. So where does this all end? You know, it's kind of reminiscent to a couple of years ago when the COVID situation happened. When it first happened, it was very uncertain, and I remember thinking, how is this going to end? And are we looking at a 12 Monkeys scenario here? If you've ever seen that movie. Now, as it progressed, it was pretty apparent that we would get through it. And the cause was apparent as well. It was the virus. And for that reason, while stock markets kind of went down a little bit, and it was a great time to buy, by the way, if you were cash rich, Rolex prices didn't really change. In fact, they went up because people were storing their money in them, I think, and people were getting a lot of free money from the government and from their employers. And so they were spending that money on the Rolex watches. Right now, it's different, and things feel a lot more serious. And unlike the virus, what's the source of this? It's a little bit more complicated, and that's what makes it so precarious, because you can't say, well, once this is fixed, it's going to be fine. So what is the cause of what's happening right now? Is it the situation in Ukraine? Is it the printing of money? Is it inflation? Is it all of these? Is it something else? All right. But we've seen a downturn, and I don't think we've seen the bottom yet. If you're cash rich right now and you want a Rolex watch, it could be a good time, but it could also be a good time to put that money in some mutual funds as well, all right? By the way, this isn't financial advice. Make your own decisions. I'm just talking through these things. Now, when it comes to the Rolex market, we really have to talk about what sector you're talking about. Are you talking about the pre-owned market? Are you talking about the retail market at the authorized dealer? Or are you talking about the premium laden, crazy gray market, all right? How you act and what you do really depends on what you have or what you're thinking about getting. Let's start with the pre-ceramic market. Now, I think the pre-ceramic, the older watch market, I think it's pretty solid. I think that prices aren't going to rise anymore. I think we might see them stagnate, maybe go down a little bit. If you have money and you've always wanted a pre-ceramic, now is probably the time to buy. Now, let me just back up and say, if it gets worse, it could be a better time to buy. And look, think of these watches as Rolex stock. Rolex doesn't have stock, but if you have a Rolex watch, you have stock in the company. Now, of course, the quality of that stock probably depends on what model you have and the price you got it for. But it's a good watch brand to have your money in, because while it is a house of cards, we'll get to that, it's a pretty solid house of cards. And I say it's a house of cards because there's really no intrinsic value to this watch. You can't eat it, you can't drink it, you can't grow anything on it or build anything on it. It's not going to keep you alive at all. And the only reason it's worth a damn money-wise is because you and I and everybody else thinks it is, all right? But here's the thing, and this is really what Rolex has going for it. Rolex is not a for-profit organization, all right? So they don't have the same motivations as businesses, okay? And their main motivation is not money, it is protecting the brand. And so that will always be paramount to them. You don't have to worry about them pulling rug pulls or coming out with rainbow colored GMTs and Submariners for cash grabs. And so you got to ask yourself, if you have a pre-ceramic and maybe you're thinking about selling right now, and if you have to sell, you have to sell, whatever. But should you hold? Absolutely, because it's solid. And if there is a downturn and it goes lower and you can start getting subs for, or GMTs for, you know, a couple grand, okay, that's not going to happen. But I feel like it'll come back, all right? It'll come back. All right, so if you have a discontinued or older Rolex watch, I wouldn't be selling. If you want one, now could be the time to buy, or maybe a few months from now. Again, if you think the market is going to tank even more, and I think it will, all right? So I would wait a little bit, but now's the time to have your eye on the Preceramic Rolex watches. All right, now if you're in the market for a modern Rolex, now might be the time to hit the authorized dealer and try to establish a relationship. I definitely wouldn't be paying premium prices right now. Now, if you think that this is just a dip and it's going to go back up in the future, okay, it would make sense to do so. I don't think it's a dip. I think things, stock markets, and everything is going to go a lot lower. So if you're looking to pay a premium for a ceramic piece right now, I would wait. Now, if you have a piece and you bought it 6 months ago, that probably wasn't the best time to buy. 2020 hindsight, right? Everything was going up at the time, so it kind of made sense. But I always was uncomfortable about the gray market because I didn't think it could continue. And well, right now it seems as if it's been arrested. And so you've got to ask yourself, is this premium priced Rolex a house of cards waiting to just crumble? If I had one of those pieces that I paid a premium for, I'd be a little bit nervous right now. But bottom line, if you have one of these watches, it's never going to tank to below what an AD can get these pieces for, because, to quote Rolex, the demand is enormous. And you really have to ask yourself, what would it take for these watches to really tank, okay? And that's the subject for another video, but feel free to put your opinions in the comments section. Take care. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. See you next time.